459 were from 32 nations across the globe. Jordan, Kenya, Kazakhstan, Lebanese, Mauritius, Morocco.
Sounds like
Nepal,
the opening of the Olympics.
Pakistan, Palestine.
Anele and the club
on 947.
You're not supposed to have a favorite minister. It's not done, Frankie. You don't do things like this. But if we were to have a top 5...
Yeah, he would definitely be in there.
He's in the top 5 and he's not number 5. He is Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much, Anele.
Thank you for your time. I know that, you guys are very busy down in Cape Town, naturally doing stately things. And at the risk of praising a fish for swimming, I'm going to say this again. Thank you so much that every single time you're given a portfolio, every time you speak, I learn something from you. And I think as a South African citizen, it's very important that when our ministers speak, there's something about the portfolio that, is enlightened to me so that as the conversations develop, we are all taken along. And I think you do a very good job at taking the citizens along in your portfolio. So thank you very much for that.
I'm humbled, Anele, and thank you to the listeners. Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's talk. Last week, planes land in the Eastern Cape on an upgraded Bhisho airport for 20 million rand. Now, naturally, somebody has to okay that. I'm going to start at the beginning. Who okayed the upgrades for this to happen?
No. The issue of the upgrades is between the Department of Transport,
okay,
and the government of the Eastern Cape. I wouldn't know about that, how they arranged it. On my part, my role is to designate an area as a port of entry.
Okay.
That's all I do in terms of the various laws within the department.
And the Bhisho airport, was it naturally a port of entry, or is it something that we South Africans are not clued up in, that any place can be a port of entry as long as the Minister of Home Affairs is away, the President has deployed you there, and then you then take the officials to make any airport a port of entry in South Africa?
Yeah, there are two laws, Anele, that applies to that. One is the BMA Act. The other is the Immigration Act. Section 9A, subsection 1 and subsection 2 of the Immigration Act allows a minister to designate any point. It doesn't have to be an airport. It doesn't have to be a seaport. It doesn't have to be a land port of entry. Any point. You are aware that we have got 11 international airports in the country. It means there are points of entry from other countries. We have got 8 seaports who are port of entry, and we have got 53 land ports of entry. On the land. But you also have 4,773 kilometers of the land border around South Africa, and 3,900 coastal land border. Any one of those areas, in terms of Section 9A, the minister can designate at any one time for somebody to cross there when it's not usually a place of crossing. When you do so, you must now apply all the immigration laws, meaning what? You must send immigration officers there with their stamps. If there are goods, you must call in SARS. If there are weapons, you must call in the border police, etc., etc. The other act which people confuse with this one is Section 30, subsection 1, 2 and 3, A and B, and 2 and 3 of the BMA, the new Border Management Authority. That one talks about the minister designating a particular area to be a port of entry, which is going to be used from now henceforth, which means if it's in the airport, I'll increase from 11 to 12. If it is a seaport, I'll increase from 8 to 9.
Right.
If it's a land port, I'll be increasing from 53 to 54. Now, that one needs us to gazette it for public comment, for members of the public comment, and you can only do that after giving them 30 days. Equally, when you come to close it forever, you do something like that. Now, we applied Section 9A because you can declare any place. It doesn't have to be a port of entry. It's any assembly place, and you can cancel it at any time if the situation required.
And
that is the one we applied.
Do these apply for everyone, or does it have to be a president? Because when and I first got wind of this story on News 24. Thank you so much to News 24 for that article. So I first got wind of it from there, and I read there. And then initially we didn't realize that Sheikh Mohamed bin Zayed Al Nahyan was the president. It was like a UAE billionaire.
Yeah,
that's the story that was it. So now when you hear that he's a president, slightly then, you start to interrogate the story further. So all of these acts, the BMA, X section what, do those apply for just normal people around the world? Or do you have to be a rich person?
Yeah, it's
or
a
do you have
special
to
privilege.
be a president? Who is allowed?
Generally, heads of states are allowed certain privileges, which me and you, Anele, don't usually enjoy. Heads of states all over the world, they do that, but it must work within the law. The Section 9A I've quoted, yes. Anele, we use it almost every year. It was used in 2015 to allow the German army, which could not land with the equipment they were carrying at Cape Town International Airport, to allow them to land in Overberg. I was not yet in Home Affairs, but it was applied. They have to go directly to Overberg. It was also applied when Fort Hare University invited President Mugabe as an alumni. He was going to enter through an airport that was not an international airport. This act was applied for him. But every year, I apply to the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Lesotho, who have asked us that they want to follow the course of missionaries when they come to Lesotho as a sort of a pilgrimage. And they do it every year, and they want to cross anywhere within the 980 kilometers around Lesotho, the circumference around Lesotho. And every year we have got to declare for that. And when we declare, I've got to send officials there. I'm not just going to declare and they just cross. I'm going to send officials who are going to stamp their passports, make sure that all the immigration laws are obeyed. Because Lesotho is in SADC and they don't need any visas.
Okay, but
from there we do it for Eswatini Railway, we do it for Botswana Railway. This is something that is done almost every month or on an annual basis. And those don't need any gazetting because we do them. Maybe it's because for instance, the Lesotho Lutheran Church are poor people. They are not billionaires.
Exactly.
It doesn't attract any attention.
This is where I'm going. Why is this case aggravated? Like, why is this one piquing our interest? What are the red flags around this one? Is it the 20 million upgrades, which you cannot answer? That's not your jurisdiction, so I'm going to have to get hold of another minister to chat to him about that. Is it the fact that these planes landed to drop off stuff and went back and picked up the guests, and then helicopters were there as well? They came with their cars. There are questions around. So they're driving their cars in South Africa. Are they licensed? Is that a way? Is it the fact that the president is not here on a state visit, but he's bringing 500 guests? That I understand that Home Affairs was at the bottom of the plane to register them that they are in South Africa. But I mean, you must remember, we've got the hangover from the Waterkloof scandal. Why does this one have red flags around it?
Indeed. When Eastern Cape wrote me a letter for this designation, I actually told them that you are aware of the Gupta scandal, and under no conditions will I want to be embroiled in such a scandal. By the way, when the Guptas landed, Home Affairs did not even know. From the records I've got, I was not in Home Affairs, but they did not even know, which means none of the immigration laws were followed. And I said, I want to follow the immigration laws to the letter. Now, let me correct something also, Anele. It was not 500 people. It was 680. Yes.
Yeah, what you're doing now is you're making me think, this guy is honest if he's going to. He's going to increase the number.
Yes.
Okay.
No, it was 680. 459 were from 32 nations. It was not as if we're dealing with UAE here. 459 were from 32 nations across the globe.
That's crazy.
The people from United Arab were 49. We have 2 from Ukraine, 1 from Argentina, 3 from Bangladesh, Bhutan, Belarus, 104 from Colombia, Cyprus, Dominica, Egypt, Filipino, India brought 132, Indonesia 8, Iran 2, Jordan, Kenya, Kazakhstan, Lebanese, Mauritius, Morocco.
Sounds like
Nepal,
the opening of the Olympics.
Palestine. I can go on and on. The remaining 229 were from UAE and America and Europe and Canada. And I'm mentioning those because we handle them differently.
Yeah.
All people from Europe and America and North America, as well as from SADC, when they come to South Africa, they don't need any visas. You don't have to provide them visas. The other people, the 459, is because they come from the 32 nations. They come from 32 nations that need visas, and we had to offer them visas to come into the Republic.
Minister, did they have to apply for these visas beforehand, or do they just get them on arrival?
No, South Africa doesn't have visa on arrival. The business world have asked us to do that. We are still looking at it. We don't have that policy of visa on arrival. And actually, we are criticized by business quite often for not giving visas on arrival. Visa on arrival means you just come and say, here I am. I'm sure you remember the story of the Bangladeshi who were applying for asylum here. They arrive in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe does a visa on arrival, and they say, we are here on vacation, please give us visas. And they did. We don't have such a law in the Republic of South Africa, unfortunately. So they have to apply for the visas, and they applied at our mission in UAE. Fortunately, our missions can issue visas for tourist purposes.
Minister,
and the other visas we issue in Pretoria.
So, Minister, this was not a state visit, right? So this is them coming on holiday to the Sheikh's resort, right?
Yes.
And this wasn't the first time that they were doing this. It's just the first time it's been flagged.
It was not a state visit, yes, but it was a visit which also includes possibilities of looking at investment, because remember this thing, Anele has got a history. The president visited UAE in 2018 on his investment. I'm sure you are aware that he has been on investment missions all over the world. When he arrived there, this president of UAE said he's going to spend $10 billion, not rands, in the form of investment in the Republic, and most of it will be in the Eastern Cape. From there, the premier was invited to UAE on the 31st that this issue must come to fruition. It must be implemented, and they went to discuss it, because part of the issues which I know Eastern Cape is settled with is that it's a province that depends on agriculture, and they've got a lot of livestock. I don't know whether you know that.
I'm from there. I know. I've got a few cows there myself, Minister.
Yes, I'm sure you are aware that people from Eastern Cape eat a lot of meat. They usually say, they will say, cause us love meat, because there's a lot of meat around. Now, that meat is sent to the Middle East. It's carried in trucks.
I know that.
To travel more than 800 kilometers to the OR Tambo International Airport and be taken to the Middle East. Now, if you check some of the speeches of their MEC for Economic Development and the Premier, they said they wanted to turn the Bhisho Airport into a cargo hub where most of this agriculture, agribusiness, all the farmers and agribusiness will start sending their issues to the Middle East. Remember, the Middle Eastern countries like UAE, they order 95% of their food because that's almost a desert in terms of growing things for themselves.
Minister, so I'm going to have to just ask, I'm not saying we finished our chat, but I have to go into news and do headlines and then come back and chat to you. But I mean, the one thing I want us to when we come back, let's chat about it. For me, every time somebody spoke to me about this, it would appear that the fact that the Sheikh is investing so much money means that we must be grateful in a way. And as soon as South Africans, we look like we're being grateful, it just always feels like we then let go of rules.
Yeah, we're willing to bend them.
We're willing to bend them for people with money, because you still haven't answered me when I'm saying, is this available to anyone in the world, or is it available to anybody who can afford it, or is it available to anybody who is a president? I think let's just hold on to that, and then when we come back, this is where I want to pick up the conversation from. Home Affairs Minister Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi in studio with us. We're speaking about, the planes that landed at the Bhisho airport, which has been upgraded for 20 million rand. We can't speak around those upgrades because that would be, I think it's Minister Cindy Chikunga. She's the one who's the Minister of Transport, so that chat we'll have with her. Now we chat, the planes have landed. The President of the UAE, Sheikh Mohamed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, is there with 680 guests. It was reported as 500. The minister says, no, it was 680. Every single one of them got visas. Every single one of them were processed properly.
Yeah, and the big thing is, I think this gets flagged to our attention because of what's happened in the past, and the minister's been very clear that he knows what happened with the Guptas at Waterkloof, and it never wants that to happen again.
Nothing like it. Border Management Authority Act is the one that they followed, Section 9A. This has happened before with the Germany also requesting this to come into forte. Germany coming in, and then forte with President Robert Mugabe has also done this. So it's not something that is not done. It's just that Minister, you'll agree with me, it hasn't been done at this scale.
Yeah, well, I was told by our ambassador Anele in the UAE that when the ruler of UAE visits, he's a big spender. He comes with lots and lots of people and lots of other things. We have been knowing that because before we allow this type of missions, we also have got ambassadors in this country who knows a lot about those countries, and they give a report. Okay. And they told us it's not an opportunity to miss, because when he comes, there's going to be a lot of spending. Now, in Home Affairs, we've been accused of stifling tourism because we are very strict with visas. We do this and that. I'm sure you might have heard 2 weeks ago before the President Investment Summit how the business leadership South Africa, the CEO, went to the radio and he was on us on this issue that the economy is not going to grow. We are not going to create jobs because Home Affairs is very stingy with visas. So we are very careful when it comes to the issues that may lead to investment. That's why we've opened a special unit called Corporate Accounts Unit, whereby if there's a possibility of bringing money or investment in the country, we've got a special group of people who work on it, so that they finish it off within a very short space of time.
Okay.
Oh, so you are saying that if you do have more of a budget, things are handled differently for you. Not in a dodgy manner, but they are handled differently, because the recurring narrative that I'm hearing here, even from people, for instance, 2 ministers approached me about the story because they saw my video on social media. A former government spokesperson also approached me, and the recurring narrative was, but they're bringing so much money. So are you saying that it is therefore easier for them and dealt with differently because they bring a lot of investment?
Well, investment is something that every country survives on. And no country can claim that they don't want investments, even the rich ones. That's why the president has got investment summit. Take, for instance, in the last investment summit, not the one that took place last week or 2 weeks ago, the one that took place last year, 19 companies pledged from US, Japan, China, etc., etc. They pledged from Toyota to Ford and all that. And between them, after their pledging, they send us a list of 3,090 people who need to come here, who have got various skills as artisans, engineers, who will make those investments in cars, in manufacturing, a reality. All 3,090 by October, within 4 months, we've already finished giving them all their visas, because we know the economic value of what they are bringing in South Africa. Then, of course, we are accused that, no, but what about ordinary people who have applied for visas, etc.? There's a backlog. Yes, there is. But this one is a benefit to the country in terms of growing the economy and job creation, where everybody is going to gain. And that's why we give them special attention.
What about the question that has also been floating around that says, would we enjoy this same hospitality if I were to land at the UAE on a plane with 680 guests?
Let me tell you, Anele, how the world works.
I'm scared of this.
And yes, because I deal with that world. Don't think it's a fair place. When you decide to give a country a visa-free entry into your country, you consider 3 things. You consider the safety and security of people in your country. You consider your sovereignty, but you also consider the level of economic development of your country. What are your needs, which might not be the needs of the other country? And for that reason, you allow them or you give them a visa-free, etc., which is what we did when we give visa-free. And of course, people in terms of ordinary life, they will believe this is unfair, you are being made a fool. Let me give you an example. In 2019, when we gave you, in my budget speech in 2019, we gave 6 countries visa-free entry. Amongst them was this UAE, there was Qatar, there was Saudi Arabia, there was Ghana, there was Cuba, there were 6 countries. Now, Saudi Arabia is not allowing us visa-free.
Yes.
Yes.
Tit
it's
for
not.
tat, Kalogo.
Yes, it's not. But we allow them, and I'll tell you why. Saudi Arabia have got Mecca and Medina. Millions of people, rich or poor from around the world, they go there. And they live billions. Now we've got people all over the world, even in South Africa, who have been told they can only come in 5 years' time. They are on the queue. And they say your space to come to Mecca will be only in 5 years. Now, it means that is the country that doesn't beg people to visit. People beg it to visit.
Right.
Now, here in South Africa, we are begging people to visit. When somebody comes from Saudi Arabia, is going to spend billions, like in this case from UAE. So we allow them without them allowing us in. Unfortunately, people will say, but you are being a fool and all that. Because then you'll have to answer the question. Are you aware that people from Europe, all over Europe, 44 countries in Europe, they come to South Africa visa-free? People from the US, people from Canada. But they are not giving us visa-free in their country. If we do tit for tat, who's going to get injured economically?
It's going to
it's
be
us.
Okay, so
our level of development is still much lower than theirs.
Then it's
so
fine.
these are realities of the world.
Okay, a lot of this conversation, then especially around this one, with the helicopters landing and their cars and 680 cases, it's basically, and it's fine, I'm not even being petty about it. It's just basically because we are the poorer cousin of the world, and the poorer cousin has to take hand-me-downs.
Well, the reality is we have to encourage investment. That's what the minister is saying. You know, so we have to encourage
but
these
let me add, because it's not everything that is against us.
Yeah.
That is against us. Generally, around the world, there's something called a balance of payment, where you compare the export to that country and the imports into your country. Which one is more? Usually, stronger economies have got the balance of payment is in their favor. It so happens that the balance of payments in terms of exports and export between us and UAE is in our favor, actually. That's something that is rare, but I need to mention it. Because they most of the things they eat, they have to export, and they are exporting a lot from South Africa. They can go to many other countries, for instance. So it's a competition. We are competing with other countries. Don't think the world is a nice place where, everybody is a brother or everybody is a sister. Every country works in the interest of their citizens. What is good for them.
Okay, Minister, now that okay, thank you. We've wrapped now this UAE one. And because we have you here and we don't know when we're going to have you again.
Yeah. I want to ask, Minister, because, this has been a very contentious issue, is about Zimbabwean visas and the work permits that have been changed, and a lot of people that are now sitting without work permits. Can you give us an update on that?
We haven't changed anybody's work permit. By the way, I'm not sure what work permit was changed. You are aware that this matter has been to court. We're waiting for a judgment.
Yeah.
But in summary, I need to summarize, because every time I speak to people, I don't know why it looks like it's something that is not understood. We never said we are going to take work permits away from Zimbabweans. All we said is there are 178,000 of them who are here on a special visa, which is not in the Immigration Act whatsoever. It was a special favor during a moment when the world economy was collapsing and Zimbabwe was worse in 2008, where they were giving special permits on a temporary basis, but they kept on being renewed forever and ever and ever. And we said, let's bring this to an end. They must apply for the mainstream visas, and there are 17 of them in South Africa. The work visa, scarce skills, study visa, business visa, corporate visa, etc. We said they must apply for that like all the other nations and like all the other Zimbabweans. There are millions of Zimbabweans in South Africa. It's only 178 who came on a special dispensation. And that's the one we're bringing to an end. And we said we are giving them a year to apply for those mainstream visas, and then we extended it, and it's to end at the end of June this year, by the way, and we are giving them that chance. And we also gave them two additional things. Number one is something called a waiver. This is how it works. When you apply for a general work visa into South Africa, you must go to the Department of Labor, or the company that is hiring you must go to the Department of Labor and say, look, We have looked all over South Africa. There is no person inside South Africa who can perform this work. We need to bring so and so from another country. And if the Department of Labour is satisfied, they give you a certificate which you bring to Home Affairs. Then we give you a general work visa with that. Now, we said because the Zimbabweans are already here, I sign waivers so that they don't have to do that. The second thing is that if you are here on a particular visa, one of the 17, and you want to change it, the law says you go back to your country, you apply from there, because you can't come in different pretext and change inside the country. I also give them a waiver from there. Then once they have got a waiver for one of those two, then they apply for a mainstream visa. This is the process in which we are. I've already signed thousands and thousands of waivers for those who qualify. And I'm waiting, and we are busy processing for those who applied for the mainstream visas. As I said, there are 17 of them. And that's what we are doing at the present moment.
Thank you so much, Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi. There's so many voice notes coming through of other that issues that people have with Home Affairs. I'm just going to give them your cell phone number, and then...
Is that fine?
Is that fine if I give them your direct line?
Give them the direct line of Sia, please, not mine. The spokesperson is Sia, not me. But guess what? Many of them do have that number. I don't know where they get it from.
They got it from me.
And they phone me. When they are in the queue and it's slow, they do phone me, believe you me. So please don't make it worse. Let's Sia do the work.
All right. No, listen, thank you so much for clearing this up. Really, it's been a conversation at many dinner tables, many WhatsApp groups. And I enjoy that as a minister, you can just come be like, guys, let's clear the air. And you're very honest about it. Yes, some of the things you said, they are a difficult pill for me to swallow as a South African citizen, but it still doesn't make it different that is the reality that we're in. Thank you for your time, Minister.
Thank you very much.
Cheerio. Listen, thank you so much to all the feedback we're getting about the minister's interview. We're going to put that podcast up. This is not something we do every day. We're not going to chat, 30 minutes to one person. But
no.
This had to be done. The department, the minister and his spokesperson approached us to be like, guys, we'd love to clear the air. Please, can we come on the show? And we're like, well,
and I learned a lot of stuff.
I learned a lot.
There's stuff I didn't know.
Really, really learned a lot.
Anele and the club
On 947.